The water shimmered like liquid crystal in the afternoon sun, but Patricia Hawthorne saw only rebellion. For 3 years, she'd wielded her Homeowners Association presidency like a sword, cutting down every ounce of joy in Willowbrook Estates. Now she stood at Marcus Chin's back fence, her manicured finger jabbing toward his pristine pool, demanding he drain every last drop or face a lawsuit that would destroy him. Marcus had always been the quiet neighbor, the peacekeeper, the one who bent to her will. But when she threatened to take away the one thing his disabled daughter lived for, something snapped. The war Patricia started would end with a 30-foot inflatable slide, and Marcus Chen's hands trembled as he adjusted the pool skimmer, the familiar ritual of maintaining the crystal-clear water that had become his daughter's sanctuary. The late afternoon sun cast dancing shadows across the surface, and for a moment he allowed himself to imagine the sound of Lily's laughter echoing across the water. The same laughter that had been absent for months since the accident. "Enjoying your little oasis, Marcus?" The voice cut through his reverie like broken glass. Patricia Hawthorne stood at his back gate, her silver hair pulled into a severe bun that seemed to stretch her face into a permanent expression of disdain. Her perfectly pressed white blouse and navy blazer screamed authority, while her cold blue eyes swept over his backyard like a general surveying enemy territory. "Good afternoon, Patricia." Marcus straightened, forcing politeness into his voice. Despite the knot forming in his stomach, "What can I help you with?" She pushed through the gate without invitation, her heels clicking against the stone pathway like a countdown. "We need to discuss your pool situation." "My pool situation." Marcus glanced at the pristine water, confusion flickering across his features. "I don't understand. Everything's up to code. I had it inspected just last month." Patricia's lips curved into what might have been mistaken for a smile, if not for the ice in her eyes. "Oh, Marcus, sweet, naive Marcus. This isn't about codes." She pulled a manila folder from her designer purse and thrust it toward him. "This is about property values, neighborhood aesthetics, and most importantly, compliance with our updated HOA regulations." Marcus opened the folder with growing dread. Page after page of dense legal language stared back at him. But certain phrases jumped out like physical blows: excessive water usage, safety hazard, non-conforming recreational structures, and, at the bottom, highlighted in yellow, mandatory removal required within 30 days. "You can't be serious." His voice barely rose above a whisper. "Deadly serious." Patricia's satisfaction was almost tangible. Section 4.7.3 of our newly revised covenants clearly states that pools exceeding 400 square feet require special permits and monthly inspections. Your pool is 420 square feet. You're in violation. "But this pool was here when I bought the house. It's been here for 15 years, and now it needs to go." Patricia's voice hardened. "We're implementing new water conservation measures. Marcus, California's in a drought. Or haven't you noticed? While your neighbors are letting their lawns turn brown to save water, you're sitting on 8,000 gallons of pure waste." Marcus felt the world tilt beneath his feet. "Patricia, please, you know what this pool means to Lily. Since the accident, it's the only place she don't." Patricia's hand shot up like a stop sign. "Don't you dare try to manipulate me with sob stories about your daughter. This is about the greater good of the community. One person's convenience doesn't outweigh everyone else's sacrifice." "Convenience." The word exploded from Marcus's lips before he could stop it. "This isn't convenience. This is my daughter's physical therapy. This is the only place she can move without pain. Her doctor recommended, then find another facility." Patricia's tone was as cold as winter steel. "There are public pools, private therapy centers. You have options. Those cost money I don't have, and the public pools are overcrowded, dirty. Lily's immune system is compromised. She could get sick, and if she gets an infection, not my problem." Patricia snapped the folder shut. "You have 30 days. Drain it, fill it in, or I'll file for an injunction to have it done for you. And trust me, Marcus, you don't want it to come to that. The legal fees alone would bankrupt you." Marcus stared at her, seeing clearly for the first time the monster that had been masquerading as his neighbor for 3 years. "Why are you doing this? What did I ever do to you?" Something flickered across Patricia's face, a flash of genuine emotion that disappeared so quickly. Marcus almost missed it. "You want to know why? Because rules matter. Marcus, order matters. When people start thinking they can do whatever they want, when they stop respecting authority, everything falls apart. I've spent my entire life building order from chaos, and I won't let one bleeding heart destroy what I've created. This isn't about order, this is about power. Same thing. Patricia turned toward the gate, then paused. Oh, and Marcus, don't even think about rallying the neighbors. I've already spoken to them. Amazing how quickly people fall in line when you remind them about their own little violations. Mrs. Johnson's wind chimes are too loud. The Rodriguezes have an unauthorized garden shed. Even your friend Tom has been parking his boat trailer in his driveway longer than allowed. Funny how everyone becomes very cooperative when they realize their own glass houses are at risk. Marcus felt a chill that had nothing to do with the evening air. You're blackmailing the entire neighborhood. I'm maintaining order. Patricia's smile was arctic. 30 days, Marcus, don't make this harder than it needs to be. As she clicked toward the gate, Marcus found his voice. What if I fight this? What if I take it to court? Patricia turned back, and for a moment, Marcus saw something almost gleeful in her expression. Please do. I'd love nothing more than to drag you through months of litigation. How much do you think a good lawyer costs, Marcus? 50,000? 100? And while you're hemorrhaging money you don't have, fighting a case you can't win. I'll make sure every day of your life in this neighborhood is miserable. Noise complaints, property inspections, violation notices for every blade of grass that grows too high. I'll turn your existence into a living hell. She paused at the gate, her hand on the latch. But here's the beautiful part even. Miracle you manage to win, which you won't, it would be a Pyrrhic victory. By the time it's over, you'll be so financially devastated you'll have to sell the house anyway. And guess who will be first in line to buy it at a distressed price? My development company has been eyeing this street for a luxury condo project. Your misery is my opportunity, Marcus. It's almost poetic. The gate slammed shut with a finality that echoed in Marcus's chest. He stood there in the growing darkness, the folder clutched in his hands like a death sentence, listening to the gentle lapping of the pool water that had become his daughter's lifeline. From inside the house, he could hear the familiar whir of Lily's wheelchair and the soft murmur of her voice as she talked to herself, a habit she'd developed since the accident. She was probably positioning herself by the living room window, watching the pool, counting the minutes until her evening swim. The 1 hour of each day when she forgot about the wheelchair, the pain, the accident that had stolen her dreams of college soccer scholarships and left her fighting just to walk again. Marcus closed his eyes and made a decision that would change everything. Patricia Hawthorne wanted to play games. She thought she could destroy his family with legal threats and neighborhood politics. She had no idea who she was dealing with. For 3 years, he'd been the quiet neighbor, the one who kept his head down and followed the rules. But she'd just made one crucial mistake. She'd threatened his daughter. And Marcus Chen was done being quiet. Part 2. The architect of WAR, the fluorescent lights of the city planning office, buzzed overhead like angry wasps as Marcus spread blueprints across the metal table. His eyes were bloodshot from 3 sleepless nights of research, his usually neat appearance disheveled from diving through municipal codes and zoning regulations that most people never bothered to read. You sure about this, Mr. Chen? Janet Morrison, the senior planning clerk, peered at him over her reading glasses with genuine concern. This seems like an awful lot of trouble for a neighborhood dispute. Marcus looked up from the documents, his jaw set with grim determination. Patricia Hawthorne made it clear she wants to play by the rules, so we're going to play by the rules. All of them. Janet shook her head, her gray curls bouncing. In 30 years of working here, I've never seen anyone request copies of every single municipal ordinance, building code, and zoning regulation. You know, there are over 4,000 pages here, right? I've read every one. Marcus tapped the thick stack of papers beside his elbow. Twice, the truth was, Marcus had done more than read them. He'd memorized them, cross-referenced them, found the loopholes and contradictions that decades of bureaucratic amendments had created. While Patricia thought she was playing chess, he'd discovered they were actually playing 3-dimensional chess on a board she didn't even know existed. His phone buzzed with a text from his sister-in-law, Sarah. How's Lily doing? Pool therapy. Helping. Marcus stared at the message, his heart clenching. He hadn't told Lily about Patricia's ultimatum yet. Every evening she still asked when she could swim again, and every evening he found another excuse. The pool heater was broken. The chemicals needed balancing. Soon, sweetheart, soon. But soon was running out, and the lies were eating him alive. Mr. Chen, Janet's voice, pulled him back to the present. You've been staring at that phone for 5 minutes. Sorry. Marcus slipped the phone into his pocket and focused on the blueprint in front of him. This property, survey it, shows the exact boundaries of my lot, correct, down to the inch. Why, Marcus pulled out a red pen and began marking measurements. On the blueprint, because Patricia Hawthorne is about to learn that the rules she loves so much cut both ways. 2 blocks away, Patricia sat in her home office, surrounded by the trophies of her war against chaos, framed certificates from the California Homeowners Association, awards for community excellence, and photos of herself shaking hands with city council members. The mahogany desk that had once belonged to her father dominated the room. Its surface covered with neighborhood violation reports she'd been compiling like a general planning a siege. Her phone rang, the caller ID showing, Wilson and Associates, Legal. Patricia Hawthorne speaking. Mrs. Hawthorne, this is David Wilson. You asked me to research the Chen property situation? Patricia leaned back in her leather chair, satisfaction warming her voice. Please tell me you have good news, David. Well, the HOA case is airtight. The new pool regulations are legally sound, and Mr. Chen has no grounds for appeal. However, there's something else you should know. The satisfaction flickered. What kind of something? Mr. Chen has been extremely active at the city planning office. This week, requesting copies of municipal ordinances going back 20 years, Patricia's grip tightened on the phone. What's he looking for? We're not sure yet, but Mrs. Hawthorne, in my experience, when someone starts digging that deep into municipal code, they're not planning to surrender quietly. He's bluffing. The man's a software engineer, not a lawyer. He probably doesn't even understand half of what he's reading. Maybe, but I thought you should know. Sometimes the most dangerous opponents are the ones who have nothing left to lose. After hanging up, Patricia stared out her office window at the Chen house. She could see the pool from here, its surface reflecting the late afternoon sun like a mirror. A symbol of defiance that would soon be nothing but a memory. Her satisfaction returned, let Marcus Chen play with his paperwork. In 25 years of neighborhood politics, she'd crushed bigger threats than one desperate father. The secret wasn't just knowing the rules, it was knowing which rules everyone else was breaking. She opened her laptop and began typing and emailed to her private investigator. If Marcus wanted to dig, she'd dig deeper. Dad? Lily's voice drifted from the living room, carrying the weight of unspoken questions. Can I ask you something? Marcus looked up from his laptop, where he'd been cross-referencing property easements with water utility regulations. The kitchen table had become his war room, covered with legal documents, blueprints, and coffee-stained notepads filled with measurements and calculations. Of course, sweetheart. What's on your mind? Lily wheeled her chair into the kitchen, her 16-year-old face wearing an expression far too mature for her age. The accident had stolen more than her had forced her to grow up in ways that still broke Marcus's heart. Something's wrong, isn't it? You've been acting weird all week, and I haven't been able to swim. Is it because of the medical bills? Because if we can't afford to keep the pool, no. Marcus reached for her hand, his voice fierce with protectiveness. Lily, listen to me. This has nothing to do with money, and it has nothing to do with your medical expenses. We're keeping the pool, I promise you that. Then what Mrs. Hawthorne is trying to cause problems, but I'm handling it. Lily's expression darkened. In the months since the accident, she'd developed an uncanny ability to read people's motivations, as if losing the use of her legs had sharpened her other senses. She's the one who complained about my wheelchair ramp, isn't she? Said it was an aesthetic eyesore. Marcus felt anger flare in his chest. He'd forgotten about that complaint to the HOA about the ramp being non-conforming to neighborhood standards. It had taken 3 weeks and a lawyer's letter citing ADA compliance to shut her down. 3 weeks when Lily had been trapped inside while they fought bureaucratic battles. Dad, your face is doing that thing where you look like you want to punch someone, despite everything. Marcus found himself smiling. When did you get so perceptive? Occupational therapy. Turns out, when you can't run away from problems, you get really good at seeing them coming. Lily's expression grew serious. What's she trying to do now? Marcus hesitated. He'd wanted to protect her from this, to handle it without adding to her burden, but looking at his daughter's face, her mother's face, with the same determined set to her jaw, he realized she deserved to know the truth. She wants us to drain the pool. Says it violates new HOA regulations. Lily was quiet for a long moment, processing this information with the careful deliberation that had become her way of handling crisis. The pool is the only reason I'm getting better. Dad, Dr. Martinez says the water therapy is the only thing keeping my muscles from atrophy. Without it, she didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. I know, Marcus said quietly, which is why we're not giving up. Not without a fight. What kind of fight? Marcus looked at his daughter, looked at her at 17. She'd already survived more than most people faced in a lifetime. The accident, the surgeries, the long months of rehabilitation that weren't finished yet. She'd handled it all, with a grace and strength that humbled him daily. Maybe it was time to stop protecting her and start including her. Want to see something interesting, Marcus? Turned his laptop toward her, displaying a complex diagram of property lines and utility easements. It turns out our neighbor, Mrs. Hawthorne, has been very busy over the years, expanding her garden, adding decorative features, making improvements. Lily leaned forward, studying the screen. This shows her property line, right? And these red marks are ... violations. Every single one. Marcus's voice carried grim satisfaction. Her prize-winning rose garden extends 18 inches onto city property. Her decorative fountain, built without permits, her garage expansion from 2019, violates setback requirements by 2 feet. How did you find all this? Public records, property surveys, construction permits. It's all there if you know where to look. And here's the beautiful part. Every single violation carries automatic fines that compound monthly. She owes the city about $40,000 in accumulated penalties. Lily's eyes widened. Does she know? Not yet. These things only come to light when someone files a complaint. And guess what I spent my afternoon doing? For the first time in weeks, Lily smiled, really smiled. Dad, that's brilliant. But what if she still tries to make us drain the pool? Marcus turned the laptop back toward himself, his fingers flying over the keyboard. Then we moved to phase 2. Did you know that California Municipal Code requires all homeowners associations to provide reasonable accommodations for disabled residents, and that pools used for medical therapy are specifically protected under state disability rights laws? Even if the HOA says they violate other rules, especially then, medical necessity trumps HOA regulations every time. I spent yesterday morning with a disability rights lawyer who's very interested in our case. Apparently, using HOA rules to deny medical therapy access is exactly the kind of discrimination lawsuit that courts love to make examples of. Lily was quiet for a moment, then asked, "What happens when she finds out what you've done?" Marcus looked at his daughter, seeing Part 4, scorched EARTH. The first sign of escalation came at 3:17 a.m., when Marcus's smoke detectors began shrieking in unison. He bolted upright, his heart hammering as the acrid smell of burning plastic filled his nostrils. Racing through the house, he found the source. His electrical panel, sparking and smoking. The main breaker, glowing cherry red dot. By the time the fire department arrived, the damage was contained but devastating. The electrical fire had destroyed the pool's filtration system, the heating unit, and most importantly, the safety systems that kept the water clean and swimmable. Looks like faulty wiring, Fire Captain Rodriguez told Marcus as they stood in his backyard, watching the sun rise over the wreckage. These older houses, sometimes the electrical can't handle modern pool equipment loads. Marcus stared at the melted remains of his pool's control panel. This system was installed 2 years ago. It was inspected and certified. Electrical fires happen, Mr. Chen. Could have been a power surge, could have been a manufacturing defect. Without a full investigation, the captain shrugged apologetically. How long for the investigation? Departments backed up, maybe 6 weeks, maybe more. In the meantime, you can't use the pool until you get all new equipment installed, and certified insurance should cover it, but that's another few weeks for processing. As the fire trucks pulled away, Marcus found himself staring at 8,000 gallons of crystal-clear water that might as well have been poison. Without filtration, without chemical treatment, the pool would become a breeding ground for bacteria within days. Even if he could afford to replace the equipment immediately, the installation and inspection process would take weeks. Lily appeared at the sliding glass door in her wheelchair, her face pale with worry. "Dad, what happened?" Marcus looked at his daughter, then at the destroyed equipment, then at Patricia Hawthorne's house, where he could see a figure silhouetted in an upstairs window. "Equipment failure, sweetheart. We'll get it fixed." But even as he said the words, he knew it was another lie in a war that was consuming his family, one lie at a time. Patricia lowered her binoculars with grim satisfaction. The electrical fire had been a stroke of genius. Her contractor friend Tony had assured her that a simple overload device attached to the pool's power line would create exactly the kind of equipment failure that fire departments saw every day, untraceable, explainable, and completely devastating to Marcus's timeline. Her phone buzzed with a text from her. "Lawyer, city dismissed all violation complaints. Clerical error in the filing. You're clear." Patricia smiled. Amazing how cooperative city employees became when reminded about their own little indiscretions. The planning department clerk who'd been helping Marcus had a gambling problem. The fire inspector had been skimming overtime. Everyone had vulnerabilities if you knew where to look, but Marcus Chin's vulnerability was walking around on 4 wheels, and Patricia was just getting started. The doorbell rang at exactly 9 a.m., followed by an authoritative knock. Marcus opened the door to find 2 uniformed officers from Child Protective Services, accompanied by a stern-faced woman in a business suit. "Mr. Chen, I'm Sandra Walsh from CPS. We've received reports of potential neglect regarding your daughter's medical care." Marcus felt the world tilt. "I'm sorry, what?" "We have documentation showing that your daughter requires daily physical therapy but hasn't been receiving treatment for over a week. We also have reports that her prescribed medication regimen has been interrupted." The woman consulted her tablet. "Additionally, there are concerns about unsafe living conditions related to a recent electrical fire." "Who filed these reports?" "I'm not at liberty to say. May we come in and speak with your daughter?" Marcus's mind raced. Lily's medication sheet took anti-inflammatories for pain management, muscle relaxants to prevent spasms. He'd been rationing them to make the bottles last longer, spreading the doses out because the insurance approval for refills was taking forever, and the physical therapy, double quotes, Mr. Chen. The woman's voice carried impatience. "We can do this cooperatively, or we can return with a court order. Your choice." 30 minutes later, Marcus sat in his living room, watching strangers interrogate his daughter about her medical care, her living conditions, her father's ability to provide for her needs. Lily answered their questions with growing confusion and fear, her eyes darting to Marcus as if searching for an explanation he couldn't provide. "Lily," Sandra Walsh's voice was gentle but probing. "Your father told us your pool therapy was temporarily stopped for equipment repairs, but our records show the pool has been out of service for over a week, and there's no repair work scheduled. Can you tell us what really happened?" Marcus watched his daughter's face crumble as the truth hit her. The lies, the delays, the real reason she couldn't swim. She looked at him with an expression that would haunt him forever: betrayal, mixed with understanding, mixed with a grief too deep for her 17 years. "He was trying to protect me," Lily said quietly. "Mrs. Hawthorne was trying to make us drain the pool. Dad was fighting it, but she did something to the equipment, didn't she?" Lily Marcus started. "That's a very serious accusation," Sandra Walsh interrupted. "Do you have any proof of sabotage?" "No," Lily said, her voice stronger now, "but I know my father. He would never let anything happen to my medical care. If the pool isn't working, it's because someone made sure it wouldn't work." After the CPS workers left with a warning that they'd be back for a follow-up visit in 72 hours, Marcus found Lily in her room, staring out the window at the pool. "I'm sorry," he said. "I should have told you the truth from the beginning. She's trying to take me away from you." Lily's voice was matter-of-fact, to calm. "The CPS thing, the medical neglect allegations. She's trying to have me removed from your custody. That won't happen. I won't let it happen. What if it's the only way to keep me safe? What if she's willing to destroy both of us to win this fight?" Marcus knelt beside his daughter's wheelchair, taking her hands in his. "Lily, listen to me. I have made a lot of mistakes in this war with Patricia. I've let my anger cloud my judgment, and I've put you in danger because of it. But I will not let anyone take you away from me. Not CPS, not Patricia Hawthorne, not anyone. Then we need to end this. Not just win it, tend it." "What do you mean?" Lily's expression was eerily mature, carrying the weight of someone who'd been forced to grow up too fast. "I mean, we stop playing defense. We stop reacting to what she does and start controlling what happens next." "Lily, Dad, you taught me about consequences. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction." "Well, Patricia Hawthorne has been taking actions for weeks. Maybe it's time for the reaction." That evening, Marcus stood in his backyard, staring. At the pool that had become the center of a war he never wanted to fight, the water was still clear, but he could see the first signs of algae beginning to form without proper filtration. In a few days, it would be a green, stagnant mess. In a week, it would be a health hazard. His phone rang. The caller ID showed his sister-in-law Sarah's number. "Marcus, I just heard about the fire. Are you and Lily okay? We're fine. The damage was just to the pool equipment." Marcus Sarah's voice carried the tone of someone who'd known him for 15 years. "Cut the bullshit! What's really going on?" Marcus found himself telling her everything. The HOA battle, Patricia's escalation, the CPS investigation, the electrical fire that was too convenient to be accidental. Sarah listened without interruption, and when he finished, there was a long silence. "Marcus," she said finally, "you need to get Lily out of there." "What?" "Pack her up and bring her here to San Diego. Tonight, she can stay with us until this gets sorted out. I can't run away from this. If I leave, Patricia wins. If you stay, you might lose Lily. Is winning worth that risk?" Marcus closed his eyes, feeling the weight of impossible choices. Run away and let Patricia destroy everything he'd built, or stay and risk losing his daughter to a system that didn't understand the complexities of their situation. "There's a third option," he said quietly. "What?" Marcus looked up at Patricia's house, where lights blazed in every window like a fortress preparing for siege. "I finish what she started, but I finish it my way." "Marcus, what are you thinking?" "I'm thinking that Patricia Hawthorne has spent so much time trying to destroy my family, she's forgotten to protect her own." "That sounds like a threat." "Not a threat, Sarah. A promise." Marcus ended the call and walked back into his house, where Lily was waiting in the living room, her laptop open on her lap. "Dad, I've been thinking about what you said, about consequences and reactions. Yeah? I think it's time Patricia Hawthorne learned that some reactions are bigger than others." Lily turned her laptop toward him, showing a social media page titled Willowbrook Estates Exposed. The page had been created an hour ago and already had 17 posts, each one detailing a different aspect of Patricia's abuse of power. "Lily, where did you get all this information? You're not the only one who knows how to research. Dad and I have something you don't have." "What's that?" Lily smiled, and for the first time in weeks, it reached her eyes. "Friends, lots of friends. Friends who are really, really good with computers. And friends who are really, really angry about what's happening to us." Marcus stared at the screen, watching in real,